Welcome to the Managing Your Site screencast. In this video we're going to look at some of the options that are available to you, sort of behind the scenes. So we're going to look at some of the options around page and site layout. So that might be things like the navigation bar along the top here, maybe moving that down to the side, on the left or the right hand side. We're also going to look at how you might style your site in terms of the colours and fonts and maybe the logo that you choose. And then finally what we're going to look at is the sharing options that are available to you when you're working on a Google site, and how you might manage those. Okay, so to get started we're going to look at how you might change the page or site layout with altering navigation and so on. Now, as stated previously, when you have edit rights on a Google site, you always see this white bar at the top of the screen with your live preview underneath it. Now we know what the edit page button do, and add new page. What we're going to look at to start off with is the more actions menu here. So if I click that option, you'll see that there are a whole host of different things that you can use to change various different settings about your site. The first one that we're going to go and look at very quickly is this Edit Site Layout button. Now you can see this is new, and I don't think it's quite finished yet, but if I click Edit Site Layout, you'll see that we have some different options along the top as to whether you can have a header, a horizontal navigation bar like this one, a sidebar. So if I click that, you'll see that it opens up for me here. I'm going to click that off again, and then there's an option for custom footer at the bottom of the page, so that means that it will add one down here as well, and you can change what goes in there. So I'm just going to click those off for a second and click close, and then I'm going to go back to the more actions menu here. Now the option that I'm most interested in at this point is manage site, because this opens a sort of control panel for us which will allow us to change pretty much anything, any settings that relate to how the site's going to look and work. So if I click manage site, you'll see that we're taken through to this sort of control panel, and there are lots of different options down the left hand side here. It by default goes into the general area, and you can see that at the top you have your site name, so you can change that if you want to. You can also select the option to show the site name at the top of each page, and that's up to you whether you decide to switch it on or not. There's also an option for site description, so you could write what the purpose of the site is in at that point. And then the last option that I'm going to look at is the landing page. Now this is the page that users will see by default when they first access your site. In most cases, home is going to be fine, but you can change that if you want to. Now, the option that we really want to go and have a look at is site layout on the left here. So if I click site layout, you'll see that because we've got that new option on the front page, things are changing here at the moment, but I don't think they'll change too much. You can see that you have options for your header, for your horizontal navigation bar, and then page content and footer further down. The one that we're going to look at initially is the horizontal navigation bar, because using this option we can decide what we want to be in it. So if I click Edit Horizontal Nav Content, this opens up some options for that navigation bar for me. So these are the pages that are there already. On the right hand side we have some options as to whether we want to sort of indent them or move them up and down. If I select resources at the bottom here, maybe I want it to be further up the list, I can just click the arrows and move it up like that. Now if I click OK and then click save after I've done that, the order of my navigation bar will have changed. I'm just going to push that back down to the bottom now. If I wanted to add a page to this list, maybe I'd use that new page button on the front live preview portion, and I'd created several pages that I then wanted to add to my navigation bar. To do that, I click add page at the bottom here, and you can see these are all of the pages that have been set up within the site. It's under site map. I know that I set up this new page a couple of minutes ago, so let's just scroll down on the page a bit further. And I can click OK on that, and then that page gets added to the list. I can also get rid of it that way if I want to, but if I just go back in, select it, go back down, and then that's going to be available. You also have some options at the bottom about the style of the navigation bar, so you can either have just some very basic boxes, that's how they can look, tabs, which is what I've got now, or links where there's nothing in the background, it's just a simple link and it's listed at the top of the page. So those are the options that you've got for horizontal navigation. So let's close that down. One other thing that you might want to look at within this area, which allows you to change the the style of your site layout is using this button here, and you can see that you have options like site width, header options, horizontal navigation bar, sidebar, and then footer. Now this really allows you to change how those different elements are going to look on the page. Looking at site width first, you can go for the theme's default value, but I tend to select my own. Now in this area you can see that the example is either a definite width for the site, and a pixel, a px, is a unit of measurement, or you can go for a percentage figure. I tend to go for a percentage because it means that no matter what size, what physical size screen somebody has, that means they can either have, like a mobile device, or they can have a great big monitor. It's always going to take up 70% of that. So it means you get some uniformity. So that's the figure that I'd entered there. In terms of header, you can change, again, you can have a fixed size, like 100 pixels here. You can set the header to be the same size as your logo, and then you can change the alignment on the right hand side. There's also an option for your sidebar here, so if you wanted your sidebar to display on the left hand side of the screen or the right hand side of the screen, you can change that option there, and you can give it a fixed width as well. I'm just going to switch that back off. Okay, so to save any changes that you've made in that area, you click OK. There's a save button at the top of the page here, and you can then go back to your intranet site.